I'm here for you, Caleb.
I love
I'm here for you.
At the end of the day, it's very much what have you done for Caleb today? And if you can't answer that, your day is just not over.
Yeah. Well, my day's
Just
over.
like Scott. That's why Scott doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't want to have to
All right,
face the
hang
reality.
on a second. I got a problem.
Oh no.
Hang on.
Now,
Caleb
Dean
doesn't
needs
post anything. Stephanie posts that stuff, John. Caleb,
Who?
the social media wheels have been taken away from Caleb.
Okay. Well, that's probably good because
Yeah.
you'd get canceled. You would get canceled.
Hey, so I was watching that girl that did the national anthem.
Good Lord.
My comment on Facebook was Trump's ears fared better than mine did, and it's doing pretty well.
Did you hear the latest?
She was in rehab, ain't she?
Yeah, she's going to rehab. That might be the best thing that ever happened to her. You know,
I don't know who
getting
she is,
embarrassed
but I don't.
in front of millions of people. Yeah, I was kind of glad, not glad, but I was kind of like, take that, Arlington. you got another mess on your hands.
Did you see that Evan went to the Cubs?
Yeah.
I'm hoping he gets put in Myrtle Beach first. I'm willing to fly to Myrtle Beach to watch him.
That just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. As soon as we get,
I thought he was trying to stay at A&M. I think he was, but they didn't know what the NCAA was going to rule on it.
And he didn't know where he was going to get drafted. He was what was he in the 11th round?
13th, I think. 12th or 13th round, I thought.
Yeah.
Hold on. It ain't like Cade didn't text it to me.
Yeah.
I tell you, John.
Yeah.
Scott, you got anything good to eat this evening?
You're taking me to dinner.
13th round. Pick
Okay.
392.
Caleb's going to Porto.
I'm going to Porto, dog.
How about that?
We go on.
Right.
We don't even know what we're doing yet. I said, don't even hook up to a boat till tomorrow morning.
I still got 2 videos in the bag for Scott for my YouTube, this YouTube. All right, as soon as Dean gets back, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's got a girl with a bikini getting him a drink too.
I'm back. My battery is dead on my speaker.
All right.
I'm plugging in right now. Plugging in. Hold on. Plugging
Professionals there.
Charging.
I'm getting a new laptop today. Tomorrow it should be getting here.
Nice.
So we might be in for some interesting times next week.
I bought one of them fancy Dyson fans on Amazon Prime Day. That's my big purchase of the year.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Charging.
All you got to do is plug it in, Dean.
Charging.
Just plug it in once.
His assistant sounds like a real moron.
You just got to plug it in once.
Charging.
I can just see Dean going like this. It's not working. It's not working.
Battery off.
That sounded like when they read Trump's verdict, dude. Charging.
Guilty.
Charging.
All right. Dean, once. All you got to do is plug it in once.
On.
I like Delaney's comment here. We're about to see it fly across the screen. God dang it. Tired of this.
All right, I'm in the game.
Hey, he's in the game.
I'm in the game.
Here we go.
Are you searching?
I need to upgrade my speaker system.
Sound like some of the fishing trips we've been on lately. Searching.
Searching.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Don't tell me about that. We'll get into that today. All right, here we go. Welcome into the Bite Me podcast, and we have got a show for you today. We got an announcement, a big announcement right out of the chute that I know anyone listening to us, whether it's on the YouTube stream live here as we record on a Tuesday at 3:30 every day, or listening, of course, on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast across the country. You are going to be wanting to listen in about 2 minutes. First 2 minutes is I'm going to remind you about some of the great stuff going on here on the Bite Me podcast topics today. I got a question. Most of our questions come from listeners. I got a question this time, and that is going to be for you 3 captains because it was quite the story this weekend. Also, we're going to be joined by Ryan Towns from CCA Texas. We got some stuff happening that was some good karma from the Bite Me podcast. And of course, my reminder to join the Facebook group page. That's how you can RSVP to the Feeding Frenzy. That's how you can get a question to us. That's how you can get a great discussion from a fantastic community here on the podcast. And of course, subscribe to as well. You can subscribe to the podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get it. All right, so here we go. I never like to bury the lead. Let's get this going with a bang, so to speak. So the Bite Me Feeding Frenzy is going to be on September 21st. We already have the 200 who have RSVP'd for the free meal. We're going to give you the feedback. We have, I think, over 300 already RSVP'd. Everybody after the first 200 is going to be just $15. And this is what's going to be good. We have a ton of stuff. I can call it up here in a second. That has already been donated for the silent auction, for the live auction, for the raffle, and I will get to that in just a second. But I got to make this announcement: the Bite Me Feeding Frenzy, the Bite Me podcast, is off the charts to the point that everyone who attends the Feeding Frenzy on September 21st is going to have a chance to win via raffle a new boat. We have a boat that we are going to raffle at the Bite Me Feeding Frenzy. If you were somewhat interested, you better be darn sure interested right now. The odds, and I want to get y'all's reaction to this, but let me just finish real quick. The odds are better than just about any lottery ticket you buy by a mile. They're better than a lot of these events that they sell tickets, for months in advance, weeks in advance, and then they have a drawing. This is going to be for the Feeding Frenzy. We have 400 people there. We have 500 people there. It's just those people that have the opportunity to buy the raffle ticket. And it's going to be, I know you're already thinking, okay, what kind of boat? What kind of boat? It's a badass boat. 21-foot Freedom Boats Commander with a 150 on it and a coastline trailer. This, guys, is going to be raffled at the Feeding Frenzy, courtesy, of course, of Chet Moore and Pooty at Freedom Boats. And of course, you can get those Freedom Boats at all the retailers. We like the Boat Yard, of course. That's where I take my boat. But dude, this is beyond. We just started. This is amazing, Scott. I'm gonna start with you because you were the original too, you and me. And all of a sudden, what is it? 5+ years later, we're raffling off boats, dude, at an event where your odds at worst could maybe be 1 in 500.
That's amazing. Absolutely. I mean, way to go, Chet.
Way to go, Chet.
I mean, that's support right there.
That is a friend. That is a friend. That is a guy that gets what we do. That's a guy that certainly is part of the Bite Me community. And I'm not exactly sure what the cost of the raffle tickets are, but it's not going to be prohibitive. It's not going to be like outrageous. It's going to be like $50, maybe $100. I don't want to speak for him. But 1 in 300, 1 in 400, 1 in 500 chance to win a 21-foot Commander. Well,
this is where this wasn't very well thought out because I thought the big news was you noticed I got here 7 minutes early. That was pretty crazy.
That's big news number 2.
But these bunch of trout snob fools that we got listening to this podcast, they're just not going to tell any of their friends about it so they can keep that pool down.
Well,
I think there's less people going to show up now, John.
You can't stop the Bite Me podcast. I mean, we had almost 500,000 downloads last year.
There's a couple of them.
4,000 or 5,000 a week. Dean, I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm just I've been working on this with Chet, and here are all the details. So he was originally going to have the Freedom Boats tournament, his owners tournament, out of Port O'Connor like he did last year. And it was his idea. I was thinking it, but I didn't want to be, brazen and say, hey, we might be able to help some of that. But he brought it up. He said, what if I do the Friday night captain's meeting at Coasters where we're going to have the Feeding Frenzy? And what if I have the weigh-in from 1 to 3 p.m. at Coasters, and then we take over 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and all those people, whether you're in the Freedom Boats Owners Tournament or at the Feeding Frenzy, have an opportunity to buy raffle tickets for a brand new boat. Dean, this is a badass boat. It's probably if not the top selling right now, the second top selling boat that Freedom has. Run skinny, all that stuff, but you got some good chances to get a boat. And by the way, I don't know if we're eligible or not, but I'm going to buy some damn raffle
That
tickets
was my
and worry
only
about the rest
question.
later.
The only question I have is, am I eligible to win?
Well, I'll get back to you on that next week. But I was excited.
I mean, I won't feel guilty if my name is pulled out of the hat when the thing is drawn.
Dean loves him for raffle, man.
I love a raffle.
So yeah, man.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, and just the sign of where this podcast has gone since I joined in.
Yeah. Was it since you joined in, or was it since Caleb joined in, or was it just all the hard work that Scott and I have done all these years? That's a question that we're going to have to kick around.
We all have our role.
So,
it's a team effort.
It is a team effort. So very excited about that. Don't forget to RSVP. $15 at the door, man, and you get all the stories. You get to hang out with the guys. You can go get your beverage of choice. We're going to feed you a meal courtesy of what's called the butter churn. And of course, we'll be at Coasters. We're going to have all kinds of items like the Buffalo Trace bourbon basket. That was courtesy of a listener. Just donated. It's like $550 worth of bourbon, like top shelf stuff. That's going to be, that's been donated. 2-night stay at Real Paradise in Rockport, which is badass. I've stayed there. Arctic coolers, I already have those in the bag here in the office. We got taco trays. How about John Parkoff stepping up, making taco trays for us for some of the.
I gotta remember to take Sunday off after this thing.
No kidding. I think we all are.
I don't think I'm gonna be in any shape on Sunday.
Yeah, we all are. We got the G2 green rod, courtesy of Emily and Fishing Tackle Unlimited. We got Lou's reels from Texas Boys Outdoor. I know we're going to have some sawgrass rods as well. Rough Country adjustable trailer hitch, multiple ball mounts from and an LED bar that's been donated. A guided duck hunt for 2 in Port Mansfield with Captain Jeff New. 2-night stay at a bay house in Galveston at Jamaica Beach that sleeps 10. A custom Texas Boys Outdoor cooler, hats, etc. Sims waders from our friend Justin Livingston over at Coastal Addiction. 2-night stay at Fish Camp Rockport, courtesy of UntamedOut.com. And of course, even Scott got in there. How about on one of the live auction items, Back Porch Ranch, his own place built with his own 2 hands, and a lot of curse words. A trip for 2, 2-night lodging, 1-day fishing, meals. And a 1.5 gallon Arctic insulated jug with the Bite Me Feeding Frenzy logo on it, and more. I mean, we got more coming in. So you guys, it's going to be pretty dang cool. All right, so that's the big announcement. I will have details and images of the boat. I've got some pictures of the actual boat that he made, and he tried it out on the water. It's good to go. It's going to be at the Frenzy. And your raffle ticket, you get a chance to win a 21-foot Commander with the 150 and the Coastline trailer. All right, so let's get to this, because Ryan Towns from the CCA Texas Star Tournament, startournament.org, has been waiting patiently. But Ryan, you had a smile on your face. You're used to giving out boats. You know a thing or two about giving out boats. So glad to have you on, man.
Oh, thank you for having me again. Yes, we're very familiar with giving out boats. Every year we give away 18 boats, 5 trucks, 5 UTVs, and $325,000 in college scholarships towards kids. And John, we're about halfway over with the tournament right now. In September 2nd at 6 p.m. and we still have a lot of prizes up for grabs. There's only been 2 certified tagged winners, a red tag and a blue tag. And of course, those red tags, the first 5 win a 2024 XLT Super Crew Cab Ford F-150, 23-foot Haney Amigo with 150 Mercury motor and Coastline trailer package. And then, of course, on the blue tag, there's 3. The first 3 win a 220 SVT Transport with 150 Mercury motor and coastline trailer. And that's a race center console too. So you can really get elevated and see the water ahead of you.
That is fantastic. And we wanted to get you on for that so people will know that they're still out there. One of the topics we're going to discuss, my wife was cursing me out because, no, she wasn't. She was very sweet. But we were frustrated because we just knew we were into some redfish and one of them was tagged. But here's the thing. All right, so this is why I wanted to have you on. Not too long ago, right before Memorial Day, you were down, and I guess we can say it now, south, and you released live on our podcast a tagged redfish. That Bite Me Karma came into play, baby. That one tagged redfish that you were holding in your hands. Tell us what happened to it.
You know, I was just counting it. That was 56 days ago. On May 21st, we released that 2 tagged redfish live on your podcast, 1 red tag and 1 green tag. And last Thursday, we get a call around 4:30. This guy has so much energy in his voice. He's on the boat. He said, "Ryan, I caught a tagged redfish." I said, "Oh, that's so awesome. What color is it?" "It's green." I was like, "Tell me where you're at." And then he told me where he's at. He was, if you're familiar with the Baffin complex, he was in between East Clayburg and Starvation Point, almost 11.1 miles from the release location. And of course, these fish do swim. We do have a lot that are caught far away, 11 miles. And then we also have some that are caught 50 feet from where we released it. But yes, the Bite Me podcast juju is in full effect. But remember, there's still a red tag that we released during that live shoot as well.
Yeah, that's pretty dang sweet. Don't want to keep you. We want to get to some topics, but hit us with any other details on this, because I think that juju is going to continue, and one of our listeners is going to end up with a red tag as well. Well, first of all, what was the prize on the green tag? Just to remind people.
That's right. The green tag, the Lone Star is our new partner, and they are offering a year's supply of beer. So Ray from Austin is winning a year's supply of Lone Star.
We are never going to hear.
What
Go
does
ahead.
that mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does a year's supply mean?
A year's supply is 51 18 packs or 24. We're still working that out.
We're never a year's supply for
You're
me.
You're gonna need a bigger refrigerator.
Well, a solid 6 months.
We're never going to hear from Ray from Austin again. Like he's off the map. He is off the map. It's like, whatever happened to old Ray? All his buddies are going to say, I don't know. He caught a fish. Never heard from him again.
I don't know. He's in rehab last I heard.
Yeah, he's going to be singing the national anthem at the All-Star game. He's going to be singing the anthem at the All-Star game. Yep. Next thing we know. So, all right, Ryan, we're going to get to the show and the topics here in a minute. But hit us again. Hit us up with the details so people can register and all that.
We will. StarTournament.org, and the tournament ends September 2nd. 101 days of fishing fun. Over $1.9 million in prizes and scholarships up for grabs. So get out there and get yours. You got to be registered in the tournament before you catch your tagged redfish. Thanks for having me, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Was that fish caught?
Where was it caught? Because the red one might be wandering somewhere nearby.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
You're breaking up on me. Say that one more time.
I said, where was it? Scott asked, where was it caught? Because that red one might be hovering somewhere nearby.
I still got broken up on.
I think he said Starvation Point.
Starvation Point?
Yeah.
Yeah, in between Starvation Point and East Clayburg. So it's in the Baffin complex.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. How many boats are going to be between Starvation
That's what I was
Point?
just thinking. Man, you can fish anywhere else in Baffin Bay tomorrow and not get bothered.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was very, very cool. All right. So I got a question for you three guys. We get questions. I get questions. Some of them I know the answers to. Some of them we kick around here and you guys know the answers to. So this was mine. Let me tell you the story real quick. Dean knows the story already, so I'll start with Caleb and Scott on this one. So my wife famously has caught the fishing bug after 35, 40 years of not fishing, mostly reading books when she goes out with me and all that stuff. So she caught the bug when we went offshore a little over a year ago, and she's like, yeah, I'll try it. And we caught 7 kingfish in about 2 hours. And, she was just like, this is awesome. We've since been fishing several times. She always comes with me now. And she's caught a ton of trout. She's really good. She knows how to cast, all that stuff. So her goal is, I want to catch a redfish. And where we fish down there, it's grass flats, skinny water, all that stuff. So I've been trying to help her, teach her how to throw top waters. And I think I made a tactical error because she's had a couple of opportunities, several blow-ups, no hookups, all that stuff. But Caleb, so we got into this one area on Saturday morning. Now, admittedly, we got out there a little bit later because we had fun the night before. We were that couple, just like, let's just go out there at 7:30 instead of 6. So we get out there. We're in this one spot, absolutely loaded. Bait, action. You could smell it, that smell. There were redfish pops, everywhere. So we start casting. I'm like, all right, finally, she's going to get herself a redfish. But she's throwing the top water like crazy. I'm throwing the top water. I catch one. And then all of a sudden we're going for an hour and a half straight. She got a couple blow-ups again, but never gets her redfish. So as I'm driving back here, it was like hours later, I'm driving back to Houston, and I'm thinking, damn, I wonder if I should have just put a weedless on there. I just choked. I feel like I just choked. I wonder if I should just put a weedless on there, and maybe she would have caught a redfish on a plastic, etc. But I also am conflicted because there's nothing like a topwater bite. And she's seen me catch a bunch of redfish on topwaters. So, what's the answer there? Was I just being hard-headed, teaching a newbie, skinny water, topwater? I'm going to start with you and then go around the horn here next with Scott. But I feel like, should I just said screw it and just giving her a weedless so she can catch one?
You started too early, and the redfish don't respect that.
I started late.
No, 7:30. The redfish don't. They're not about that. Much too early. They were cranky. Hadn't had their morning Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if she was working the topwater effectively, then
she was. Well, not great, but she was doing it.
I mean, but typically you don't have to work it perfect for a redfish to smoke it. Half the time they eat it while it's sitting dead still.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, after an hour and a half, I might have made a change, John.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you screwed her.
I think I choked. Scott, what would you do with your daughters when you were teaching them? I was just like, she's got to catch one on top water. She's got to catch one on top.
You didn't have a popping cork and a gulp ready?
I did. I always have a popping cork ready, but I was just like hard-headed. I wanted her to experience that. Scott.
You almost got to catch your first one on top water. I don't disagree.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that because what's going to happen is she's going to get her first blow up on top water and she's going to dent your console.
No, she's done that. No, she's gotten several blow-ups. She just never had the hookup. What do you think, Scott?
Send her with Dean.
Oh, God. Dean texted me that. He goes,
she's coming. That's what I said. Next time Jen goes with me and John has to stay home.
You're putting too much pressure on her, John.
But the thing is, I'm like, the other thing is, I'm like too nice because I don't want to be that husband that says, you're doing it wrong or do this and blah, 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 blah. I'm just like letting her learn on her own,
Yeah. I've probably, if she really wants to catch her first redfish, I'm going to go with what works, what's going to work best. You're in it for the topwater bite. Mm-hmm. She's in it for a redfish. So you're being selfish.
Oh, God, it's my fault now?
Yes. You're being selfish. You want to see her catch it on topwater.
But what about what Caleb said? The first one has to be a topwater.
Nah, she just wants to catch one. I mean, she hasn't been fishing long enough to worry about how she catches it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more to the story. I'm fishing the same morning. There's actually more to the story. So the guys, two guys that I'm fishing with are there's a backstory to the story. The two guys that I'm fishing with, one of them is a regular, fishes with me all the time. He throws topwaters, plastics. He brings his kids. He brings his family. We fish with mullet. We do all types of trips with him. And so then he brought his friend, one of his friends, who is a hardcore croaker only, won't fish with anything else. He told his buddy, today you are fishing with artificial lures. He told me about that the day before. So I took this as like, this has got to happen. I've got to break this dude and show him. So the exact same day that John and Jan are fishing, I'm fishing on the same flat. We weren't up against each other, but we were still all in the same vicinity. I landed 9 redfish in the first hour.
But that was 6 a.m.
Well, from 6 to 7:15, we landed 9. But and you guys saw the pictures I posted. We were catching so many fish. We were just getting creative with the photography, where it's like, and these guys they put one fish in the cooler for lunch, and then it was all catch and release from there. So I'm just playing with the camera, having a good old time. And then John is texting me throughout this whole ordeal, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because it was just, and we would go from spot to spot. We could not do wrong. At 11:30, I'm still busting them. I mean, the last cast of the day was like a 25-inch red that we watched come from 15 feet away, bust it 5 times, and then eat it and damn near splash the boat. It was crazy. So, I mean, there's no explanation. And, you know, it's not, I tell people all the time that there's no wrong way to throw a topwater. You can throw it out there and just reel it in. You can twitch it slow. You can run it fast, all those things. But I mean, I feel your frustration. I get it. And I've told John, the ones you want the most are quite often the hardest to achieve. For some karma reason, it's just there. But now you're feeling the intensified pressure. It's worse now because you've tried to achieve this, and then it's hard to explain, man.
I mean, while we're at it, imagine you also didn't listen to her or care about her feelings.
No, not ever. No, and we didn't cuddle.
But yeah, John's over there like struggling, and I was like, these dudes could throw it backwards over their shoulder behind the boat and hook a fish.
I said there with my attention to where that PVC pipe was at.
Like, I'm laughing because he's not wrong. Like I was just like, what the hell is going on? But then I was like, okay, I should have put a plastic on her plastic on her.
And then the worst part is you're driving home for 3 hours with that hanging over your head, and just staring and thinking. And then you got to go to work all week, and you think about it, and then you get on the podcast and you think about it some more. There's always next weekend, man.
How was yours, John? Were you catching them?
I caught one that day. I was mostly working with her, but I caught one that day, and I caught one the day before. But I was really just trying to work the boat, get her to the front of the boat, trolling motor, all that stuff. I was just obsessed with it, you know. But yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't a matter of like not catching or not getting blow-ups and all that. When I did throw, it was just.
So Scott, check this out. So we're texting back and forth through this whole ordeal. John's on the phone, and he's like, "What's the problem?" And I'm like, "Find the mullet, man." So any place I found these massive schools of mullet, it was like you just throw it to him. And that's the same thing he's telling me. He's like, "There's mullet everywhere." It's like,
I was neck deep in mullet,
neck deep in the bait fish, and I was like, "You ain't shaking it right or something." Yeah. So I mean, I couldn't believe that you couldn't pull one.
Oh, when I pulled up, I said, "You're getting your redfish here," which of course never should have said that. But I said, "You're getting your redfish here." So yeah, no, and you know me, I don't care. I mean, as far as like me catching fish or not catching fish or whatever, I was having a good time. If I was by myself, I'd have been cool. Whatever, it wasn't my day. But that was frustrating. So I was like, I got to ask the guys, what would you have done, Scott? Like the top water, even though she's doing it right, would you have gone? What would you have done? I'll leave it open ended.
I may have dug in my box and found a wake bait and let her
Mhm.
throw a wake bait.
Yeah.
And that
So-
way, you know, man's baby -1 or something like that. And that way she's just got to reel it straight back in. And they will absolutely inhale one of those things if they're fired
Mhm.
up, like Wade Dean's talking about them being all fired up. You really can't screw one of those up. And you still
Mhm.
get the top water effect.
those the black and gold, I think it's called a croaker or something. When I was in my early stages of redfish tournaments, we were fishing. This is back when the Rudy's was probably one of the bigger ones on the coast, and me and Robert Rathkamp, we were in the championship. And like second cast of the morning, I caught like a 9.7 or something. We needed 2 fish. Caught a 9.7. If I catch an 8-pounder, we're unbeatable. And we make our way on down the side of this pond, this lake, and the way this lake's laid out, there's a reef that runs parallel with the bank, pretty well the entire bank. And between the reef and the bank, it is just loaded with redfish, absolutely loaded with them. And these suckers are spooky, dude. I threw a top water in there, mud bulls everywhere. I threw a cork and a gulp in there and just kind of let it sit and popped it a little bit. Mud bulls everywhere. I threw swim baits, mud bulls everywhere. I mean, just everything. I even had these stupid lures in my boat that I don't know, they're supposed to suspend or something. Looks like a Sharpie or some crap. And I was like, I've never even tried this, but I'm that kind of desperate. Through that, but I couldn't keep it up where I want them to be. And we ended up turning that 9.7 loose in the intercoastal because we cast it all day long at probably 40 or 50 redfish and couldn't get one to eat. And I find myself on my 3-hour ride home, and 6, 8, 10 years later, ironically, son of a bitch, why didn't I throw a corky?
Yeah.
What, a corky floater is going to go through there dead quiet. It's gonna do what it's supposed to. And now I keep a double D in my bag at all times for that. But
Mhm.
you're not the only one that was infested with fish and figured out how to catch it on the drive home.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's a game. This is a sport of second guessing, man.
So, Caleb, how is it when you set the hook on a 25-pound red on a top water?
The sucker was stuck though, wasn't he?
Exactly what happens? What happens moments later?
Well, I was using a dumb rod from a dumb dude that broke plumb dumb in half. Very loud. And then I had to hand line a 25-pound redfish. It sucked.
It broke in 3 places.
Oh my
It was-
goodness.
It was the second loudest thing that ever happened beside my ear. And the first loudest thing was just a different rod doing the same thing.
So, Dean, what would you
So-
have done, man?
I was stuck with top water. I mean, and the reason I say that is because of where we're fishing. It's out here on the grass flats. It's on the sand holes. You had all that life in the water. Just some good. I don't know. Maybe you didn't have good positive encouragement from the background. I'm with Scott and Caleb. I blame you totally.
Hey, I knew you were when I put this
But,
on the dock.
I mean,
when I put
and
this
so
on the
all
dock,
that
I said,
being said,
go ahead.
there's a follow-up story to go with the backstory and the pre-story.
There's more.
There's more stories.
More stories.
It
Go
just
ahead.
gets
And
worse.
I mean,
Well,
so we like to
first.
keep it real here on the podcast. I mean, we don't sugarcoat a lot of this. The punchline to the amazing day that I had, Saturday or Sunday? That was Sunday. That was Sunday or
Yeah,
Saturday?
that was Sunday.
That was Sunday. So we go out there, can do no wrong. The next day, I'm pulling out of the marina. I got all the confidence in the world. I'm like, this is going to be so quick. And
You're
this is
so
going to be, it's Monday morning. I own this bay. I own these fish are my little biatches today. Go out there, the mullet, for whatever reason, same conditions, same wind, same tide, same temperature, same tacos, same underwear, same shirt, same every damn
can
thing,
vouch for
same
that.
rods and reels, same fishing poles, same knots,
underwear.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that. I've
same
seen it.
everything. And as much as I hate to admit it, we zeroed on
Yeah.
keeper. We had, and I worked overtime. I told the guys that I was fishing with, I was like, do y'all have any appointments? I said, I will fish as long as you guys want to. And we stayed and we backtracked, and we had, for all of that effort, and this husband and wife, they stood up there and beat that water. And so the day after the melee, I came out of there with 1 rat red and 1 speckled trout for 7 hours of beating that water relentlessly.
See, I blame
so
you.
It's fun to be on the other side of that. I've been in Louisiana fishing, and we're fishing a little set of ponds, and then probably
how was that fun to be on?
Yeah, he's about to say.
No. Listen, and then probably about 150, 200 yards on the other side of like the stand of cypress trees or whatever kind of trees they got over there is another buddy of mine, and there are redfish everywhere. And about 2 hours goes by, and my phone rings. He's like, "Hey, man, you get these fish to eat?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude. We were smoking them. We've already caught 10 or 15 of them." He's like, "What are you throwing?" The little white paddle tails. Oh, okay, all right. And then about an hour later, we're dibbling along looking at fish, and he calls again. "Dude, I can't get them. They won't eat." I said, "Well, they came off them white paddle tails. Now we're throwing purple ones."
You're just jacking with him.
I did this. I mean, every time I called him, like we caught another 10 or 12 every time he called me. And this went on until 3 or 4 o'clock, and we get back, and dude, this guy, his feelings are hurt. I was like, by his math, we done caught 60, 70 fish over where we're at. And about that, and every time he called me, I gave him a different lure to try. He's digging.
I know,
shit
you're just jacking with him.
Yeah. And then we're
driving to Walmart.
Yeah. We're sitting there at the house that evening, and man, I couldn't let him go anymore. I was like, "Well, you tried all them lures, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Man, us too. We couldn't get a damn one of them fish to eat."
He was about to choke you. It's the damnedest thing. No, but when I said, you know what, this is going to be a fun topic, we'll be able to talk about it a lot. I think a lot of listeners are going to get at it. I told myself, these guys are going to destroy me. They actually haven't destroyed me as badly as I thought you would. Like, it's you suck, you're too hard, you're too soft. I knew it going in, but it was just, I thought it'd be a good lesson for everybody who listens.
It's a cruel game.
We're just bored with the same old rhetoric, John. We're looking for something new.
Yeah, it's every week, right? Yeah, it's every week. It's all right. I can take it. I know better. I can catch my shit.
It is a harsh, cruel game we play out there.
Yes, it is.
Scott loves it
because learn about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
The last time me and Scott fished together has been 5 years worth of stories. Our track record ain't all that good together.
And you may get some bad karma for giving me a hard time there. But hey, one thing, circling back to having Ryan on here, and we're talking about the green tag fish that was caught. Scott, I saw you. I alluded to it, and then I saw you, answer one of our listeners here on the live YouTube stream that the red tag fish was swimming right next to him. Like, that's no joke. Like, right? I mean, I don't want to send everybody listening between Starvation and East Kleberg Point, but that is no joke. That redfish was pretty close to him, wasn't he?
Well, redfish school. So you turn
That's
two
what
of them loose together. They may go together.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine doubling up. You and your buddy doubling up, and both of them are tagged reds.
Well,
The red and the green.
There was a guy
Wyatt Foster caught two in the same day.
Oh, really?
Basically at the same time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he caught them like back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Caught 2 tagged fish, turned them back, both of them back loose, and then his phone would not quit ringing for the next 2 months. People wanting to go fish with him. I was like, man, that is the best advertising you could get as a guide. I mean, if you just stay busy,
so many guys just went and bought some red weed eater string to tape on their fish and take a picture.
Look here, guys, we got us a red tag.
No, that's an idea.
Back loose.
No, that's an idea. Yeah.
Marketing strategy.
So the backstory to the backstory to the backstory from this weekend. This is where I'm having so much fun. because I've talked to all three of you guys individually about the casting contest at the feeding frenzy. So I'm not sharing what each of you are telling me with the other two because I can't wait. But we were having some margaritas on Friday night when I got there at Dean's house, and he gave me his strategy for the casting contest and his, I guess, plans on how he's going to rig things up. I talked to Scott separately. He kind of gave me his ideas. Caleb, I don't know if I've gotten your, other than the on the air stuff you said, but like what you're planning for the casting contest at the feeding frenzy. And for those who don't know, we're going to have it. It's just going to be distance only. So that should make for some fun. They're all going to throw the same lure. But this has been fun, man. Like Dean's got a plan. Scott's got a plan. I know Caleb's got a plan. Are you guys going to practice?
I'll just say it out loud. Number one, when I get to Scott's house this evening, I'm digging through his crap when old man Winter goes to sleep because he's going to go to sleep at some point. Number two, I'm just going to kick that ass with a 7-foot medium Laguna liquid, baby.
Are you sure? Are you sticking to that?
I mean, sure. Y'all prepare for that.
Okay, it's on the record. Say it again.
I said, I'm showing up with conventional and I'm whooping that butt.
All right. We'll see about that. I know what Scott's got up his sleeve. I know what Dean's got up his sleeve. Scott?
I mean, and I can say I have never cast one of those lures. I don't.
It's like a topwater. It's just a bullet.
What are we casting again?
The PG7 from DOA.
Y'all act like I've thought about this since last time we talked about it. Like, y'all
really?
think I remember that we talked about it.
It's a bullet, Dean. You can throw that thing a mile. Yeah. Scott?
What?
I was going to ask you what you would like to contribute to your plans, or are you just staying quiet about it?
He's gonna play funny.
It's gonna be that's can't miss entertainment, man.
There's no
Can't
telling
miss
what I might show up with. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
I might have a zip code.
Just because Caleb said that about his conventional stuff. All right, here's another topic for you guys. This is courtesy of, and it fits exactly with the discussion we've been having today. Dean brought this up in terms of tuning in or tuning out. So, Dean, I'm going to let you lay it out and get the input from Caleb and Scott. Tuning in or tuning out of a spot or a pattern. This is something that occurred to you, I guess, Saturday when you thought something was not going to happen, but it ended up happening.
Well, I don't remember what we were talking about.
So last week you said it might be,
but I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna take a guess.
He threw a net up in the air.
After the margaritas.
it's your topic. It's your topic.
Let me take a guess. Because it's time, because of the water temperature in the summer of the way that I have been fishing, that it is time to give up on the flats, the shallows, even early at the crack of dawn, and start in deeper water, which is traditionally more speckled trout and less redfish action. But I mean, I go through this every summer, where we have some great redfish action, some sight casting, and then it just gets hard to find those big reds, or they become very inconsistent. There's days you can, and if you grind it out day after day, you can find them, but there's going to be a lot of tough days in the middle. And then it comes to a point to where it gets so hot the middle of summer that I go straight to deep water first thing in the morning. It's really changing the entire game plan for what I normally do. Is that what it was about?
Yes, because you said you were going to.
Okay,
you were going to tune.
That's what I meant.
Then that's what I meant. You said you were going to tune out of top waters and the ultra shallows because it was going to be too hot. Lo and behold, you go to the ultra shallows, throw top waters, and catch fish.
And this morning, I went to the grass beds, to the shallows, because I'm still trying to prove a down point from what went wrong over the weekend. I'm in a state of confusion now that I have to figure out how to undo. But I did not stick with that very long. Short time. I actually hooked 2 reds early, didn't land either one of them. So they were hitting real lazy, real slow. I mean, they were just coming up, following it. And those two guys both got off to. Shortly after that, I did head out to deeper water. I went out around Lydian Channel, places that I haven't fished at all. I mean, just exploring. And yeah, there were some speckled trout out there. Nothing big, a lot of male trout, small schoolies. But it's time to kind of shift gears until we get something different. If we get some more tropical activity, if we get some rain, if we get some cooler weather that will change that pattern, I'm probably going to start fishing a little bit deeper.
What about lower, middle, and then middle? Scott, I'll start with you. What makes you tune into a place, whether it's temperature or some other condition, and then all of a sudden do what Dean was talking about, even though it didn't necessarily stick this time, tune out and start going somewhere else?
It's kind of a feel thing, man. You just get out there and you start watching the fish. You know, being on the polling platform, I get to see what they're doing, and I can kind of read those redfish. They're still up there. They're still in those shallows, but the hotter it gets, the earlier they quit. And they'll just, I've said it on here a million times, they just go to sleep. I'll find them laid up in that grass bed, just sound ass asleep. Today it was hotter than hell out there, and we were still catching fish when we left. I still had schools. They were still tailing. I mean, everything was working, and it started off at daylight. Hell, I sent you a picture.
Yeah, before day, right as it's rising.
And sent you a picture first thing this morning, first fish. We hadn't been, I'd pushed the boat maybe 30 yards when we saw our first school. And then the end of the day, it was still happening. We were wrapping things up, and one of the guys caught a fish while we were finishing, and putting the rods away. So coming up here pretty soon, though, it's going to be so damn hot by 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I think this has a whole lot to do, Dean, with the flushing we got from the hurricane last week, because it was starting to get hot early, and the water was super hot, and things were settling down, and wasn't a lot of oxygen in the water. You know, you could tell the fish were just lethargic. And then we got 4.5 foot tidal surge that pushed through the bay. And I think that may have extended our spring, early summer pattern for another
Hell, it
week.
might have started it.
Yeah. Could have just started it up.
Yeah, some of the best fishing I've seen has been since that hurricane. There's redfish in places where they haven't been over the past couple of years. They're good redfish. I've seen some really good trout getting caught. It's Barrel helped us out on the Middle Coast, you know, and Scott thought it would, and I agreed with him.
What have you seen? Because I know a lot of people up in the Middle Coast want to know what you're talking about.
Well, just the back lakes that hadn't really just got going and gotten good has fish in them. The edges of the intercoastals, the redfish are just up, and they've shown up and they're doing their thing. I've seen some dang nice trout coming out of East Matagorda and West Galveston, where, you know, that's been a little few and far between. And like Scott said, I think it cooled off the water. I think it pumped some fish in. I think it scattered some bait around and got the fish going. And then there's a new cut in at Cedar Lake. Brown Cedar. I don't think it's going to stay open very long. I saw somebody on Facebook saying that it'd take 10 years for it to close. I'm like, dog, that'll take 10 days. Yeah. They can't keep the San Bernard open. That cut don't have a snowball's chance.
Yeah, and they dredged that.
Scott, you ready for me to come screw up how good the fishing was today?
All day long, that's what I kept thinking. I was watching these guys were just hammering fish and having a great time, and all I could think was, I think we're using it all up.
That's usually the way.
Something else in regards to that, we caught a ton of trout today in places we haven't been catching trout for the last 2 or 3 years. They weren't big, but there was a lot of them. I mean, these, 14, 15-inch trout were up in the bayous and the little creeks and stuff going into the back lakes. And I haven't seen that in a long time. It was pretty cool to actually see them actually doing that. And I mean, they were popping lures pretty regular. And
so Caleb, it doesn't sound like you're tuning out anytime soon to what you're doing. But the one reason I wanted to get you on this, like what makes you tune in and tune out at a particular time, especially summertime, it's a whole different environment. I mean, there's birds working, and the birds don't work down where we are, other than gaff top and stuff. So you have some better gauges of what to see and what's happening.
I like particular bait. If I can find like little shad or something flipping around, the rafts of mullet are great and everything. East Matagorda, it's a bit more of a punishing bitch. Really, is the only way you can say it. And I've been around the big rafts a lot of times when just nothing ever happened. If I can find some, I'm talking about waiting primarily.
Yeah.
Going to hold me somewhere. If I can find little bait flipping around, a good streak of water. It's summertime, so if there's some deeper water close with like an incoming tide or an evening coming up that I think would slide them up, I'll lock in on that. If I'm in my boat, obviously I'm pushes, mud bulls, stuff like that. That'll keep me there, and I'll wait on them to eat. Uh, ta- s- Tailing schools of reds seems to make me hang around, and customers catching a bunch of fish sounds cool. I'd
That
like
would
to
do it.
experience that. I'd like to experience that once in 2024.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it for sure. All right, so I do want to mention this before we get to what would Scott do, Caleb and Dean. So we're out on the water Saturday morning, and the jetties are closed. I'm like, what's going on? Open the phone, realize that a fishing boat, a pleasure craft, hit. Was it a tanker or a barge, Dean? What was it? It was
Ran into a tanker.
ran into a tanker. There's
a lot to that story too.
Share with us, because as we're talking about it over the weekend, and I know a lot of listeners are in tune with the story, it just didn't make sense. How it happened.
It unfortunately, 2 people lost their lives out there in the channel today.
Mm-hmm.
Much sympathy and prayers and love to the families of the 2 people who did lose their lives out there on the water this week. 43-foot Viking was headed outbound in the channel. 1,000-foot tankers coming in the channel. It was the deep sea roundup, so there were boats headed out. There were witnesses to this thing. And so those type of boats, they have a beacon on their boat. They broadcast their signal. And so every other boats that are tied into this beacon know where each other is at all times. Mm-hmm. They had that system on their boat. So they were broadcasting their position, their trajectory, the whole thing. The tanker saw them on radar. The tanker saw them coming. The tanker was blowing their horn so loud that it woke up people in Port Aransas in their homes. I mean, they were sounding the alarm that this collision course, that they were on this collision course. And so I actually saw another friend of mine that was at over at Dorado's that night. He has the app on his phone. He's a captain on another big boat. He showed me the course. I mean, he could actually look and say, he was recording the whole thing. The boat apparently was cutting in front of the tanker, too close, obviously. And the theory is that the current, because the big tankers, they will draw water in, that because of their close proximity, it drew them into the tanker. They couldn't overcome that. But the thing, so even if nobody's at the helm, if nobody's paying attention, if this boat is on autopilot and it's running, when it detects the signal from another boat that they're on a collision course, alarms go off. I mean, screaming alarms that are there to alert someone to turn the boat. So all of those things were in place, but unfortunately, that boat still crashed with something as big as a tanker coming in the channel.
Scott, I'm still flabbergasted by it, hearing that story, because apparently other boats were also calling him saying, hey, they saw his track. They saw the tanker's track, said, hey, whatever they were saying, you're in a bad spot. And so it was like at a pretty good distance. It wasn't like it was close enough yet to have been sucked into the tanker. Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me. When they were, let's say, quarter, half a mile away, whatever it was, they were already getting calls from other boats that knew them, that were, already past them or whatever. One boat was apparently pretty like next to them and saying, hey, this is going on. They could see all the boats. It just doesn't make sense to me. I know you've seen the story, Scott.
Well, yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind is I want to talk, I want to hear what the surviving witnesses have to say.
Yeah.
Because there's something that was going on in that boat. There was some kind of something else. There was an emergency of some type going on in that cockpit. Because there's just no way that you overlook all of that. It's first thing in the morning. It's not like it's in the afternoon. You're coming in from a long day, and got it on autopilot, and you hit the jetties like that boat in Galveston a few weeks ago. This just sounds like there was something major wrong going on in the cockpit to me.
Did that boat ever radio back? Did it ever answer and transmit?
Now that I haven't heard. Maybe Dean knows, but Caleb, the thing is, like, you got the tanker blowing its horn nonstop.
Right.
You got the radar sirens going off on your boat. You got your buddies calling you, and nothing.
I just can't imagine 5 people were on that boat. I can't imagine everybody.
There were 4 people, and so the only thing, and these were experienced.
No, they were tournament fishermen. Yeah,
they're going out to fish.
They had a lot of time on boats like this. The only thing, and of course, the question was: were there mechanical issues? Was there a mechanical failure? Was there something? The boat was moving at a very fast pace. It was broken. A 43-foot boat was broken into 2 pieces. The engine sank to the bottom. The bow floated and the stern floated. The middle of it sank. The only thing that really makes, and we may get more of the story. It's still developing. There's 2 survivors out there that we haven't heard their side of the story yet, but that there was that it was too close for comfort, and then the current, the suction of the ship pulled them off their course and put them in a position where they couldn't overcome that.
Mm-hmm. It's obviously it's an incredible story, but you start going toward the jetties, and this is one of the things I mentioned to you guys when we were getting ready for the show. I said, it's just also a reminder, like, you might be the best. These guys were experienced going out the jetties and offshore, but it's just a different world when you're boating through the jetties, Caleb, than on a bay. I don't care who you are, how experienced you are. And again, we don't know anything. This is just, for our purposes here. Like, you start breaking those jetties, you have to be almost like a different type of alert at all times, right?
Anywhere. Bad crap happens in a jiffy on the water. Jiffy. I promise you, I've cheated death 2 or 3 times, and some of it's been pretty recent. I've got a lot of hours doing stuff in a boat that would make you pretty capable. And one thing happens, and if you don't react right now, it's a bad deal. That counts for in the harbor, the intercoastal, the bay, the back lakes, the river. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You could be putting up the river, 35 miles an hour, enjoying your day, and come around a corner and somebody's slinging a tube full of kids in front of you. Ask me how I know that one.
Yeah,
there's absolutely no room for not being completely aware of everything around you at every moment on a boat. I would say it's worse than an airplane. Hell, an airplane you can probably glide to something. A boat, when it happens right now.
And the bad stuff is right under your feet, like the water. Like the water is right under your feet. Scott, your kind of final thoughts on this, because I can see the wheels turning on your head. You're probably still wondering about the whole incident itself.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear what the people on the boat said, because nothing about that makes sense. I didn't know all that until Dean was just throwing it around.
Almost like carbon monoxide had them knocked out or something. Like there was a carbon monoxide leak in the cabin. It's wild just to hear about it.
But the boat was maneuvering up until the last minute, so it wasn't like it was just on a straight line with nobody behind the wheel.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around a boat with as much power as a Viking not being able to slam some throttles and pull out of that.
It's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I've
But-
unfortunately never been in that suction. You know.
Yeah. And that came to me from guys who drive those boats every day. That this was captains who run 40-foot boats and 55-foot boats. I mean, these are the guys that this was their friends, their comrades right here in the marina that were, you know, they were trying to figure it out the same as everybody else. But those dudes, you know, they got way more experience than I do. Years of driving those boats. That's how they explained to me the alarms and then the bell, the way they track each other was, I mean, a lot of things I didn't know till this weekend. So, and as the investigation continues, hopefully we find out, you know, what the conditions were, and you know that will hopefully help people from ever making that same mistake again.
And you know, there's going to be speculation, and we're not going to do that here. Every part of the spectrum. I'm totally with you, Scott. I just don't understand how it happened. It happened. It was tragic. It was awful. But I just don't understand it. All right, so let's get to this weekend's fishing. And that is what would Scott do? What would Caleb do? What would Dean do? Scott, you have the hot hand, man. You got the hot hand. You're taking Caleb out tomorrow. If I did this, I would go last because I did not have the hot hand this past weekend. But actually looking pretty good. Friday, Saturday. Tell us what you think you're going to do and what the fish are doing.
I mean, we're screwed tomorrow. I mean, that's just.
And we've got a cameraman. This is
exactly
the host.
Okay, it's the absolute worst.
And the last two videos that I went and shot were absolute bangers. The redfish did what they were supposed to. Like, this doesn't happen in a normal environment.
So great conditions, great tides, great everything, but you're screwed tomorrow.
He had a good run. He's run 2 times in a row now where he's filmed and everything's been great. I caught fish like crazy today. So everything's lining up. The stars are lining up for us to get skunked. I mean, that's just the way.
We're still positive. He didn't even text me. He didn't even text me like, "Hey, bro, it's real good today. We're gonna get them tomorrow." I didn't even bother.
I did not. I wasn't going to tell you until John brought it up. But yeah, and then we're throwing a camera in the mix. I mean, the camera's bad enough. I mean, then all this other
drones, everything. It's not going to be.
Oh, Lord. So Jan should not go fishing with y'all tomorrow.
Only thing worse is if we had Delaney on the boat. I mean,
Jan and Delaney.
if Delaney shows up at the dock tomorrow, I'm just going to put it back on the trailer, and I'll just go home.
Other than tomorrow,
8 miles an hour tomorrow morning. It's all looking good. Thursday, I hit the beachfront over the weekend, and it was mixed. I mean, we found some tarpon. Couldn't get them to eat, as tarpon are like to do, but the beachfront was real streaky still. I don't know if that's from the storm. The winds have been down for a few days, and there was spots where it was green to the beach and good looking water, and then 100 yards down it would be Galveston on a southwest wind, sandy, and that'd go on for 100 yards, and none of it was running parallel to the beach. It wasn't like you had long, like normal. You know, you've got it's up tight to the beach, it's sandy, and then at the second bar, third bar, it turns green, and then it gets better. This was streaks perpendicular to the beach. It was the oddest looking streaks I've ever seen. So there wasn't a lot of bait out there. So I went out deeper, found some bait out in 30, 35 feet of water. I'm going to be doing that Thursday and probably Friday. Everything else, I mean, it all looks good. Friday's fantastic. Saturday's fantastic. All the winds are down below 10 miles an hour, south, southeast. it's a little bumpy on the
Mhm.
beachfront. As far as, it's at 4 seconds and 5 seconds. So put your big boy pants on if you want to go out there and you want to run fast, like going and getting into the snapper or doing anything like that. It's going to be a little choppy.
Yeah.
As far as the bays go, from what I saw today, it's been rejuvenated from this little storm we had, and it's popping. I think you can pretty much go do whatever you want. And from the calls I've gotten and the things I've seen from other guides, dealer's choice, man. Again, they're catching plenty of trout, plenty of redfish. All the redfish guys I've talked to have done well. So what do you want to go do? You
Yeah.
want to get
Dean?
into top water,
Yeah.
Maybe
Dean,
maybe she
you
could
got.
catch
I'm sorry, Scott.
Maybe she could catch one on top water with me. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. Dean, you got any nearshore in your immediate future?
Yes, as soon as the wind lays down, but the water's still kind of dirty here. I mean, we haven't had the beautiful blue water coming into the shoreline yet. So, I mean, I keep going out there and taking a look at it, but we really need the blue water to come in. And I mean, I'm going to try to right the wrong from yesterday and keep it's crazy to hear how much, how the difference between what Scott has seen in the last couple of days, which it's always interesting. I mean, me and Scott compared notes for many, many years of where he's at and where I'm at and how different it can be at the same time.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just missing them by 50 feet or something, but the forecast looks good. I mean, we got a chance of rain here this weekend, which would be nice as long as there's no lightning involved in it. Love the showers, love the overcast, keeps it cool.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I'm gonna start fishing a little bit deeper water, the outside edges of the flats, the drop offs, and of course continue to check on the shallows. And you never know when you're going to cross paths with the right thing.
That's right. And this time you really mean it about changing that tune out. All right, Caleb, I'm not going to, I think you pretty much agree with them because where you are, but I do want to ask you about Angler U, because we always try to help each other here. I know you got a great project there, and we share it on the Bite Me group page as well. So hit us up with that. What you got going on? I know you got Scott. You're gonna have a whole lot of nothing tomorrow. But what about that beyond that?
Yeah, so we got Scott. He just said that you're a whole lot of nothing tomorrow. We have Scott tomorrow. We're going to talk about
said that.
We're going to dive into the or for the webinar tomorrow night. We're going to dive into some of the hurricane stuff and then answer y'all's questions. Where we go wherever the viewers, listeners want to go. I didn't do a fishing report video this week because they were all pretty much the same thing. Had a hell of a storm. We're at home cleaning up our stuff, but we're back on track. We've uploaded some new stuff for the week, and but the highlight is having Scott on tomorrow evening. And Scott, if you want to be really scared, I got Alan Hall coming on for a podcast. I don't know if you remember Alan or not, but he's a bit wild, and we may get the whole website canceled between the two of us. There's going to be a Rosie O'Donnell joke somewhere. It's going to happen.
I'm sure there was. Anthem. Think about the anthem.
Yep.
On that. So, all right, guys. Terrific stuff. Obviously, I know you guys are booking trips, and they can reach you right here on the group page. I shouldn't say right here, but on the group page and all your social media. And we're gonna probably get back out there again, give it the old college try. This time, I'll have the good juju working for me. But all right, so Caleb, Dean, Scott, you guys are the best. You know how I feel about you. Don't forget, we have a boat that we're going to raffle at the Feeding Frenzy, courtesy of Freedom Boats and Chet Moore and Pooty. That is beyond exciting, and just a bleep ton of other stuff with more things still coming in. So RSVP on that is $15. Gets you in the door. Got your meal. Got your camaraderie with the fellas, some beverages, and certainly a lot of fun there. So you guys have a great weekend, a safe weekend. Catch them up. We will talk to you next time.